Hello and welcome to Sound Spirit. It is Kate Faust. We're going to talk today about connecting with spirit, and I want to talk about a really special connection that I've made recently. In part one of Connecting with Spirit, we talked a lot about the other world. We talked about people who've crossed over. We've talked about people who haven't crossed over. We've talked a lot about divine love, and I'm going to make a post about that as well. But I wanted to talk a little bit about plant medicine, spirit connections, and plants and nature, spirits and elementals as an ally through your journey of connecting with spirit in this lifetime, or in this earth plane. And I think sometimes people think that plant medicine only refers to the plants that, like ayahuasca or psilocybin, or Amanita muscara, or these, very, very considered very hallucinogenic, peyote, grandfather medicine, like these very intense tribal, big journeys, medicine journeys. And those are absolutely incredible. And I know I've actually never done any of those things other than psilocybin. And, I actually remember the first time I really did psilocybin was before I had my own spiritual awakening. And I think it was my 28th or 29th birthday. And my ex-boyfriend and I decided to take some mushrooms to celebrate my birthday and just have like a beautiful day. It was kind of like an overcast day. My birthday's in December. So even though we were in LA, it wasn't sunny. And I remember actually we were laying in bed looking at the ceiling, and I saw this gray, sort of smoky, cloudy mass on the ceiling. I saw it kind of moving and slinking around, and I was like, "Do you see that?" And he pointed to what I was speaking about, and he was like, "Yeah, it's right there." And I was like, "Oh my God, he can see it too." And he started to get freaked out, and he was like, "What is it?" And I said, and this is so funny because, again, this is before I ever connected consciously with spirit. I was like, "It's a spirit." And he was like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" And I was like, "I know what to do." And I opened up all the windows and doors in the apartment. I got some sage. I got my old Bible I gave to my grandmother. And I just went in the room and spoke to it and was like, "I don't know if you're just here because we were living in an old apartment. But you do not belong here. You're not welcome in this home anymore, and you need to go. There's many ways for you to leave. Please leave." Because I didn't get a feeling it was evil, but I didn't get a feeling it was particularly good. I think it was probably an entity, which now I understand what those things are. And we both saw it slink out of the window. And so I wasn't even intentionally I wasn't trying to go on a sacred psilocybin journey at that point in my life. But even then it facilitated something that I looked back on and was like, "Oh my God," I literally had never done it before and just matter of factly was like, "Oh, I know what to do. I know how to get rid of it. I got this." Right. So today I want to talk about a special, spirit, guide. And that is the plant, Mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris. And Mugwort is a plant that I started to get into relationship with a few years ago when I was having a lot of cramps on my menstrual cycle. And a friend of mine suggested a mugwort oil to rub onto my belly when I was cramping in my back. And it's been such a beautiful, warming feeling. So I've been doing that for a few years, inviting mugwort into this cycle, which is such a big cycle for those of us who have, who are women or who have wombs and have a monthly cycle. It's a special and very spiritual time. And mugwort actually is a plant that's been known to be very, very much an assistant and bringing on a cycle. It has also been used in the past in Europe to create abortions. So it's not recommended that pregnant people ingest or use mugwort at all. I got into mugwort again more recently because as I was researching my ancestral line, I realized in both the Urglava practice within my German bloodline and the Celtic shamanic Bamfasa practice of my Irish line, that mugwort was a very special, very important, very sacred herb. And so also in my effort to not appropriate spiritual practices and be mindful of the resources of Indigenous people and Native American people, I stopped burning sage. And I was burning, I love to burn rosemary as a way to clear. Rosemary is like when I need to get rid of toxic energies, rosemary is what I bring in. But also I started to burn mugwort. I realized that mugwort and I was burning it before bed, and I started to have these incredible dreams. And I was like, wow, it was so beautiful. And then one day I was like, I want to go deeper with my relationship with mugwort. I just felt this call, and I felt this very maternal, very old, wise, feminine spirit within mugwort. It's also known as like the witch's herb as well. So I was like, let's get this. So I started a few weeks ago for the first time to drink mugwort tea. And I want to say what I'm going to describe might sound like a hallucination. And I actually researched it. Artemisia vulgara does have some of the similar components to that of wormwood, which is what is found in absinthe. So Artemisia vulgara mugwort can be bought at like a health food store. It's not considered a drug, but what I experienced would be considered a transcendental experience. Maybe people would call it a hallucination, but I don't believe that that's what that is. I had a journey, just like I would, and I do every time I intentionally ingest mugwort and I go into meditation, I have a full-on journey. So I don't recommend drinking mugwort tea before you're gonna like drive or do anything, and only do it. And I can't guarantee that you'll have the same relationship to it that I did. So I'm not like saying like, go trip on some mugwort. Like, these are sacred plants, and I believe that they interact with us and share with us what we need to know. I also believe that particularly mugwort is related to the she or the fae, which is a big part of my spiritual lineage, my ancestral lineage. It's just a huge part of how I express in this earthly plane. It's my relationship to the fae, to the good people, to the she, the fairy race, right? So, the first time that I ingested mugwort, I had just a little bit of the tea, and I laid down to meditate and be in process with it. And immediately I was in a hawk's nest, and the hawk recognized me. And the hawk said, "Oh, you're back. So good to see you. How did you get here? We missed you." And I was like, "Mugwort brought me here." And the hawk took me on its back and said, "Well, then you must need some wisdom from us." And I said, "I'm sure I do." And she flew me up above the forest, and she said to me, "Because you can see things from a higher vantage point than a lot of other people, it's important that you have humility and precision. Just the way the hawk flies above the forest floor, they need to have precision in what they're focusing in on. So it's being able to have that larger view and then focus in with precision on what it is that we're getting at." And that was so beautiful. And she kept referring to me as Bija. Then she brought me down to the forest floor near this lake, and a water serpent came out of the lake. And the water serpent also recognized me and called me Bija. And the water serpent slithered out over the top of the lake and lifted me up on its head. And as I was lifted up, I saw thousands and thousands of these different reflections of me in the water from this lifetime and many lifetimes. And the water serpent said, you need to learn how to accept all of these parts of you and also acknowledge that every other person has the same infinite reflection. Don't get too fooled by any one particular image that you see, this reflection of yourself. Don't be fooled by or fall in love too deeply with one thing. Always allow yourself to maintain your ability to see the all and bring the all together. And I was like, wow, that was beautiful. And then the water snake brought me back to shore, and I was met by some fairies, some elves, and they were blue, which I've heard other people speak about these blue elves. And the elves were like, Bija, Bija. And they took me to this great big tree. And they said, the tree has like a message for you. The tree said, it's good that you can communicate with us and listen to us and hear us, but you're only able to understand us trees when we speak to you in your language. You're going to have to remember our language because there's some things that we want to say to you that can't be translated. And I was like, wow, it was so beautiful. And the tree referred to me as Bija. And I've had many journeys with Mugwort since, and every single time it's like this incredible gift, and it's humbling, and I feel that the elemental realms are teaching me and helping me fortify myself to again, just be more of resource to their messages and their purity in this realm. And after I was done, I looked up the name Bija and what it means. And Bija, I think it's a Hindu name, and it means origin of the soul. And so it helped me to also understand that part of the origin of my infinite soul does reside, as I had suspected, within that elemental kingdom, in that relationship to the nature spirits and the fairies. And so, when I do ritual, when I sit with my altar, when I sit with my guides, I also have a beautiful mugwort and yarrow herbal body oil that I anoint myself with. When I'm doing any kind of healing or an intentional work, I bring mugwort in as a plant ally. And so, plant medicine doesn't just mean the kind of medicine that will take you on a crazy journey of ego death. And my relationship with mugwort was building a long time before I started to journey with mugwort. And like I said, I can't guarantee that you'll have the same experience that I have. I want to invite you to find those herbs, those plants, maybe in your own bloodline, maybe that you really resonate with, and just begin to cultivate a relationship, even just with their medicinal properties. You don't have to go on like a transcendent journey to be communicated with by plants. Trees, the soil, the elemental kingdoms, they're so lush. The fae, the fairy, the candomblé, they're named many names in many places on this earth, but they are star beings as well. So when I see people talk about star seeds, but they don't, I want to make that connection if you weren't sure about the fae and about us and about this planet, and about ascension. So, Mythic Medicine has some great mugwort oils. I can post about that, and I can share, where you can look and learn about mugwort, but it's so beautiful. And I've met the mugwort spirit before, and to me, she appears as a grandmother, like a crone. That's how I've met her. And she sort of reminds me of Baba Yaga a little bit, but a little less fearsome, a little more tender, and a little more humorous. Very, very funny. I highly, highly recommend that you seek out those plant allies and get to know that elemental kingdom. Start in your backyard. Start by growing or nurturing a plant and building a relationship with the natural world. Trees are like so beautiful. They're so powerful. So just thinking about this makes me want to go outside. So I'm going to go for I can't say it because my dog's in the room, but I'm going to go outside for a stroll pretty soon. So please join us this weekend, Sunday, August 30th, for Connecting with Spirit Part 2 with Natasha Panther. Blessings.